So Abhishek, welcome to this mock interview.
Yeah, thanks, Uminder.
Yeah, so can you please provide a brief about your career, about your professional experience?
Yeah, sure. So, I have an overall experience of around 5 years, 5.5 years, and into service now. It's been around, you can say, it's been around 2.5 years. I mentioned 3 years here, but because previously also I've been working into service now, but not as a developer. So that's why I've mentioned there as 3 years. But I have around 2.5 years into service now development. But initially I started working into ITOM. I got an opportunity into one of the startup where I got some training into ServiceNow ITOM. So I got training on discovery and event management, and thereon I started knowing about the discovery and the event management side of ServiceNow in the ITOM space. And mostly I from there on I worked little bit on discovery and more on event management side. Basically, in event management, I worked on integrations and others. Later on, I also started to work and I got some requirements when I switched to other company. I got some requirement into ITSM as well, wherein I got to work into something like you can say form related requirements and service catalogs, and one of the portal requirement also I worked on. So it's a kind of mixed uh, career in service now so far for me. But yeah, currently I am mostly working on the event management side, mostly worked on integrations and the building the correlation rules and all. But yeah, so far I've
Okay,
been working on this. Yeah.
okay, thank you. So you said previously you worked on ServiceNow, but not as a developer. So what was your role?
I worked as a ServiceNow admin. You can say it's a kind of a support kind of a profile. Wherein I didn't got much into development side, but only like form related changes and all.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
So you worked on ITSM. Do you know what is change management?
Yeah, I have an idea on that. I have been working on that as well. Yeah.
Okay, so provide me an example of change management and the difference between types of changes, like normal and standard.
Yeah. So in change management,
You're not audible.
sorry, my microphone got disconnected. Sorry for that. Uh,
Okay.
So mostly in change management, we have a workflow defined in the backend, which basically tries to run the stages of the change. I uh, I mean, when the change gets created in the system, it has to go through a certain number of processes wherein it has to go towards approval and then move to the schedule state based on the time stamp we provided, and then it moves to the implement state. I mean, obviously the agent has to move that to that. So there is a workflow running at the back end for this. Nowadays, flow designer is also being used, so that allows the stages to be moved and also created a change task for the as soon as we progress the stage of the
You
change.
know, I am asking what is change management. I'm not asking how it is configured.
Okay, okay. So change management is basically nothing but it is related to whenever there is any planning activity involved, or whenever there is any maintenance involved. We create a change that is a schedule basis, and as a part of this, so we can do a maintenance or something, and also we can associate a CI to it. So it's a kind
Okay.
of give you a benefit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you know the type of changes? How many type of changes we have?
Yeah, there are uh, uh, four types of changes I know. So there are one is normal and there is standard, and there is one more emergency, and there is one more new, I think, expedited.
Okay. So what is the difference between normal and standard?
So normal change is like it's a kind of a whenever we create a change, it has to go to a certain approval. So uh, it is a kind of, you can say, there is a ECAB which approves the change. So it's a kind of normal. Uh, Whenever we create a change and we want to progress it, it's a normal way. I think then we create. Then I mean that is a normal kind of change, and in standard it's a kind of routine change wherein we know that this particular activity is going to happen every day. So we create a routine kind of change wherein approvals are I think by default automated somehow, or maybe uh, or maybe there are less number of approvals. I am not able to recall, but yeah, that,
Okay. So you said you worked on service discovery, service not discovery. So
yeah.
suppose in my home I have four mobiles, two
Mhm,
laptops, which are
mhm,
connected to my home network, right?
mhm, mhm.
So how do I discover this? Is it possible?
Uh, No, I think then you have to be in that maybe in that range. I mean, maybe in that environment wherein you get connected to the what you call shared LAN, wherein you are in the network of the where the mid server is installed actually. So mid server would not be able to access your device because you are in the home. So that way.
Okay. Do you know what is query builders?
Um, Not much. I haven't used them. Mm.
Okay, no problem. Uh, how many authentications are there in ServiceNow integrations?
Um, there are number of authentications. Mostly we use OAuth 2.0, and there are basic, and there is one more JDBC.
So can you
Uh,
tell me the process of this OAuth authentication? How to configure it? Like how to set up this authentication? The process of behind that?
yeah. So for OAuth, basically, we have a certain feels like there are client ID and client secrets. So we can go to there is one module in the service now which is application registry. There you can go and create one OAuth. So you get number of option to create OAuth. Are you creating it for external client, or you are creating for the maybe for some inbound type, or you got some client ID client secret from the external system. So we can create as per the need, and once we click on that, it will let's say we are creating it for the external system, then it uh, creates a client secret automatically and creates a client ID also. So when we are calling it, we can use a basic also to authenticate for the first time. So when we are calling it from the let's say from the external system, we have to call one. There is one access. There is one endpoint URL which basically access that there is OAuth access URL. So in that we have to provide the client ID and client secret, and first time we have to provide the user ID and password. Which user ID we can create a separately also, and based on that uh, it will return you the what we call it will return you the refresh token that has some lifespan, and that lifespan also we can define. So based so next call you can use that refresh token to do for the authentication. So
Okay. Okay. So, can you give me one example of a full-fledged integration you did till now?
um, I have done one integration uh, using the flow. That was the outbound integration actually. So
Okay. So, what you were doing in that?
so basically, we got we got an API. So I've used it for the event management. So we got an API and we have to call that API like on schedule basis. So I've created a flow which runs on 4 minutes and calls that API at the backend, and it returns us the event payload. And
Mm-hmm.
using that event payload, I build one script action. In the same action, I have used the REST message, and I've used the script action in the next action step to parse that required information from the payload. Only if the status of the status code, so whenever we are calling the rest message from the action, we get a number of option in the output. So if the status code starts with 200 or maybe 201, then only we move it and create a record. Otherwise, we are, I am I have in the else block, I have called one script include, which basically defines one fields, set fields for the incident. That is a error handling incident which we create as a part of, if there is any issue. So that way we are parsing the data and we are creating a event record once we get in
Okay.
the flow, inside the flow. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, how you were parsing? What is the return object of the data? Like in
Uh,
which format it is returning?
it is returning in JSON format.
Okay.
So
So, how you were parsing JSON? You were using any API or directly just
yes, I am parsing JSON using an script only. Like uh, there is one script JSON.parse you can do, and
okay.
based on the object you can access. Like let's say you have to access the name, then you can do a whatever the variable we define dot name you can use that.
Okay. Okay. You know what is service mapping?
Service mapping, yes, I know, but I haven't worked on. Service mapping is like kind of a discovery, or it's a kind of a process which being used by top-down discovery in ServiceNow, which is nothing but we just provide an URL or the endpoint, and it
Mm-hmm.
tries to discover the lower end devices. Like whenever we let's say there is some website which is being hosted on some database, we want that information, so we provide that URL of that website. So it tries to fetch the web server running beside uh, that URL, and it tries to check from that web server where it is hosted from which database. So it gets more of the information and builds you a like of relation between these two devices.
Okay. Great. So, have you installed any mid server till now?
Yeah, I have installed Mid server earlier, first time. So yeah, and
Okay. So, can we install a mid server in a virtual machine?
yes, we can install. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, I have to automate a process
Mm-hmm,
in which there is a file which is there on a server location,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and from that location I have to read the file and then update the data in CMDB. So how to automate this? Let me tell you again. There is a file in a server location in a remote location.
mm-hmm.
I need to read it and then update the data into CMDB. So how do I automate this?
File in the remote location. It means it is in some server or somewhere.
Right, right.
Uh, Firstly, we have to connect to that server. We can connect via server as well, or yeah, only mid server as well. I think we can connect.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and from mid server, we can get the file information. Let's say for a particular device, and the uh, I think then we have to create some. Uh, when the mid server pulls the information, gets the information, it is inside a PCC key, I think. But,
Yeah, take
I'm
your
not
time,
sure.
no problem.
Okay. We can create a schedule job as well. Like uh, so, whenever we get the information from the mid server, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we can use that schedule job, to pulls from that table and then create a record in CMDB.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Okay, let's move to the next question.
Mm.
You worked on service catalog.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. So do you know the difference between workflow and execution plan?
Um, yeah, not much, but yeah, those are the kind of, you can say it's a kind types of uh, uh, methods which we can use in the process in the catalog item. We get flow designer as well, and we get workflow and execution plan as well.
Okay. So have you also worked on cloud discovery?
No, I haven't worked on that, but I tried to discover one EC2 instance from my personal AWS account. So
Okay.
I know a bit of a process of that. Uh,
Okay. Okay, no problem. So what is a custom application?
uh, Custom application is nothing but uh, whenever we want certain configuration to be, limited to that application, and we can, create some application under that. Let's say we are developing some new integration, so in that case we can create a custom application so that all the configuration related to that integration reside into that. And if you want to export, we can install the application directly into another instance, and all the configuration will be available.
Okay. So have you worked on flow designers?
Yes.
So how to enable integration in flow designer?
Enable integration.
Like various spokes are there, right? So when these spokes with respect to all those integration points will come there in flow designer.
uh, there is one integration hub plugin that we have to enable.
Right. So you used integration hub?
Not much. I've used the traditional flows only so far.
Okay, no problem. So there is one API known as GraphQL. Do you know something about it?
Yes. So this is also a kind of, which is being promoted by ServiceNow, and it's available. And ServiceNow is going to, bring it as an explorer into Washington, also into Washington release. So that is a kind of an API only, where we are using REST. We can replace it with GraphQL as well. Uh, it gives you the inbound and outbound integration. Uh, I mean, it gives you that feasibility to integrate. I think in that, what I remember is like it stores something in cache, and then for the, let's say, for in the REST call we have to do a separate calls and all. But in GraphQL uh, we have to make a one call, and then it stores something in cache and then we return. Not sure, but I have to learn this. So yeah.
Okay, no problem. So have you created any scheduled job?
Yes. Yeah.
So from uh, uh, what you did in that scheduled job?
Basically, that was also used for one of the integration, wherein we have to send some events data to the external system, because in events we cannot write a business rule. So I've written a schedule job which basically runs each minute and tries to send check for any delta events coming up, and it sends into in one outbound table which we created. That is a kind of staging table from where the all the outbound related integrations are stored with the source tag. So from that table it gets picked up, like it gets into queued state, and then it picks up and processed further. So to create that payload into that table, staging table, I have used that schedule job, wherein I have been calling one script include, which basically doing that. I mean, getting the events data and uh, setting the values uh, of that payload information, because we have to send payload in certain format. So that's why that there I've used that.
Okay, okay. So is there any limitation of scheduled job?
Um, Uh, uh, yeah, sometimes it has some impact that it gets skewed sometime. So it might be having some performance issues. But
Okay. So what is the ideal time to run a scheduled job generally?
um, I'm not sure of this. Uh,
See, if let's say your scheduled job is dealing with a data of or a table where it has to update a millions of record. So when you prefer that scheduled job to run,
yeah, that would be preferred once in a day, maybe off business hours, maybe in midnight or something.
okay, because why?
Because it has to, do a bulk update or bulk uh, insert, then in that case it might have some performance impact to the instance.
Okay, okay, great. So I think I'm done. So these are the questions I have. Do you want me to share the feedback?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Abhishek, based on your performance till now, I know that I understand that you have knowledge, you have the basic understanding of the stuff, but you need to brush up your basics
Yeah,
and just talk a bit more, confidently
yeah,
and
yeah.
brush up your basics. And there may be things which you don't know, so don't do the guesswork. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So just if you don't know, you can say, okay, I am not having much idea about that. Don't just do all the guesswork. It's not always you need to give all the answers. It's a very vast tool, and based on your experience, you have good knowledge, and it is expected. It is okay that you may skip a few things. You may do not know few subjects, few topics. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So just be confident, speak louder, and focus on the basics. Like I asked you about change management. So in that case, you have to provide what is change management and proper examples of change management and types of change management. So you should know because you have written, I have worked on ITSM, right? So
yeah, yeah.
ITSM, it's a single word, but it has whole lot of things in it. So
Yes,
if you are writing something on your resume, you have to be prepared. Like,
yeah,
okay, this is what I have written, and this may come across in the interview.
yes, yes.
So just
Yeah,
focus on that. And I have asked you various situational questions, and you have provided good answer. I like your approach.
yeah.
Just like the one which like how to get file from that location. So you have provided a good approach there. So just focus on the points here, and then you will be good. Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to ask you one question. There was one question you asked. I just forgot. There is one scenario based only.
The home one,
Yeah, yeah. Sure,
it
sure,
is
sure.
possible. Obviously, when something is in network, it is
Yeah, yeah.
possible to fetch data, right? It's not something which is extraordinary thing. We
Yes,
are doing in company the same thing, right? There
yes,
are few things in the network, and we are fetching it. So let's
yes.
think this home is kind of your company, and you are fetching the devices, fetching the data. So it is possible, but how to do it, that you have to think it and take it as a challenge and see if it is possible or not. Okay, and then come
Yeah,
back to me.
sure, sure. Sure.
Okay, so I guess we are done. Thank you so much for giving time, and
Yeah,
all the
thank
best
you.
for the interview.
Yeah, yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me to this interview. Thanks for your
No
time.
problem. My
Yeah,
pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
yeah. Thank you, Upinder. Bye.